Some major problems on Facebook this morning. I was supposed to be talking at 10 o'clock on Elaine Godley's Winter Wellness Summit, and for some reason it will not allow me to go live on her page. So her very handy assistant Jessica suggested that I go live here and that she will share it to Elaine's group. So I have approximately 15 minutes left of my time to cover sleep and a technique that I use to help people sleep as well. So as I say, good morning, good afternoon or good evening. My name's Marian Timms and I help people sleep better so that they feel better and they live better. Now, sleep is there for us to benefit from. There are many, many benefits of sleeping. It helps us rest, rejuvenate, restore and just re-energize basically. So it is a habit, and when it becomes unlearned due to children disrupting your sleep or shift work or cats in my case, then the habit can be relearned. And something that I suggest is that you always go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time 7 days a week until your body is primed back into that. Now, it may be that there are other things, external factors that are affecting your sleep so that you can't sleep. It could be your environment, it could be your lifestyle. Hi Jess, thank you. It could be your environment, it could be your lifestyle, it could be an unconscious stress trigger that's actually in here stopping you sleep, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So I'm going to have to do a whistle-stop tour through this now because of the time restraint. Sleep, why is it so flipping important? Well, when we're asleep, there are so many things going on that we don't know about that are allowing our body to be healthy. And with this Winter Wellness Summit, we want to focus on immunity, obviously, because that's very topical at the moment. And when we sleep well, our immune system is able to function at its optimum, as is our cardiovascular system, our heart system, our circulatory system. And fertility functions at its best, your weight management functions at its best, and your mental health as well. Because all these things are going on and we don't even think about it. And there are different stages of sleep where certain things happen. So let's talk about what happens when it goes wrong. So 6 hours or less of sleep will severely impact your immune system. It reduces what are called your natural killer cells, which are large T lymphocytes, for those who want to know a bit more. And these fight malignancy and infection. So it quite often follows, doesn't it, that if we've had a bad night's sleep or a run of bad nights, then we're more prone to coughs and colds and viruses and things like that. So getting sleep sorted is critical for your health. Recent scientific evidence has shown that there's a process that occurs during sleep, and this is sort of in addition to immunity, where the cerebral spinal fluid is flushed from the brain and the spinal cord, and it removes a protein called beta amyloid. Now, if you don't have sufficient sleep, this beta amyloid is deposited in the frontal part of the brain that controls deep sleep, and it will eventually lead to Alzheimer's. Now, that's quite a sobering thought, but it's a fact. So we need to get our sleep sorted. What have you tried? You know, you may think you've tried everything, but my 3-step system identifies the root cause, it then resolves what's going on, and then it will optimize using either products or techniques, tweaks to your lifestyle, tweaks to your environment. And what do I mean by products? I have a range of products that I promote as a therapist that help you sleep. And it can be things like a magnetic quilt, it could be a sleep mask, it could be a bracelet, it could be all sorts of things. So if you want to know more, then do get in touch with me afterwards. Now, I'm going to give you a few tips on what to try if you are struggling. I've already mentioned going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. If you want to know more, I have got a free ebook that you can download, and I'll put the link below, which gives you some top tips. Now, if they fail, I do offer sleep consultations. I've got a special offer until the end of the year, £70 for an hour one-to-one with me, where we will dig deep and find out what's going on. Now, when I say dig deep, there are so many things to consider when you're looking at sleep environment and how long haven't you been sleeping? Was there something that triggered you not sleeping? It could have been a hospitalization, it could be medication, it could be a trauma in your life. So we'll move on to the unconscious stress triggers in a minute with a technique called Wingwave that I do. But my top tips for you today are to consider how much caffeine you have and at what time of day, because caffeine will block something called adenosine, which is supposed to build up during the day to make you feel sleepy. So if you're bombarding your body with caffeine, that can't happen. What about your water intake? How much water do you drink? One gentleman I work with found that by increasing his water over a period of 6 weeks, he started sleeping. The other thing to consider is a routine. You know, babies have a routine, hopefully. So why do we not have one as an adult? You know, where have we decided that we just close the laptop and we go to bed? It doesn't work like that, unless you're very lucky. And on the subject of laptops and technology, if you are working long hours in front of a screen indoors, away from nature, and your device doesn't have a blue light filter, you want to consider something like this, which is a blue light filter, and it literally slots onto your computer screen. If you want to know more about that, then get in touch, because I can get you one of those. A lot of devices, there is an inbuilt blue light filter. And what's so important about this blue light? Well, the blue light suppresses melatonin, and melatonin is the sleep hormone. So it's the same wavelength as daylight. So your brain is unconsciously thinking, oh, I don't need to go to sleep. It's still daylight. Well, you do need to go to sleep. You need to feel tired. So allow your body to feel tired about 16 hours after you've woken up, and go to sleep, because your future self will thank you for it, without a doubt. The other thing to consider in terms of health for winter wellness is grounding. Now, I know Elaine promotes grounding sheets. I promote grounding mats, which are slightly smaller, and they're ideal for putting under your bare feet when you're sitting at your laptop or you're working on your phone or what have you, because it's the same effect as standing barefoot on the earth. And when we stand barefoot on the earth, or the sand or the grass, not plastic grass, that doesn't count, negative ions come up through your feet. You will have probably seen Elaine talk about this, and they have such a positive effect on your body. There's an amazing book called The Happiness Effect, which is the positive effect of negative ions, and again I'll put a link below. Grounding has an immediate effect on your physiology. It can change your thyroid markers over time, it can lower your blood pressure, it fights free radicals which cause oxidative stress in the body, and we all have that from everyday living. So grounding is really important, and I use a grounding mat under my feet if I'm working a long time under my laptop, and I can also transfer it into my bed at night. So there's a grounding mat from myself, or a grounding sheet which is bigger and would cover the whole bed, from Elaine. So grounding is something else to consider, and I know we can't all get outdoors, so that is crucial for your well-being in the winter. And another top tip I would say is just switch off. Give yourself permission to switch off for at least half an hour before you go to bed. We need that time for our brains to calm down and start relaxing. And talking of brains, there's a phase of sleep which is the sleep REM, and it's dream sleep, and our eyes move from left to right. And what they're doing in that phase of sleep, which is why it's so important to have that phase of sleep, is they're processing the neural pathways of all the events, upsets, successes, what have you, during the day. So if you don't get that deep sleep, they still float around in your brain like an unsent email. And this is where a technique I use called Wingwave comes in, because that is wide awake rapid eye movement. It's a combination of EMDR, which you may have heard about, where the eyes move from left to right. And when they're doing that, I'm not trying to make you giddy, it reprograms your neural pathways. It causes new neural pathways or nerve pathways. So can I tell you a quick story about a lady that I worked with online? She hadn't slept for about 4 months. And when we started finding out what was going wrong with her, she identified it back to a time when there had been a house fire. And at the time she didn't think much of it. She'd lived through it. Nobody was hurt. Half the house was smoke damaged. But she hadn't given it any consideration or actually dealt with it. When I say dealt with it, it was in her subconscious. And she was waking up at about 20 minutes after she fell asleep. Every night she'd wake up with a start with like a pain in her stomach. So we worked 90 minutes online with Wingwave, and from that night on she has continued to sleep well, because we removed that trauma, that feeling that she had in her body when she thought about the event. So Wingwave is a scientifically researched and developed technique. It's rapid, it's fast, it's used in high performance athletics for visioning, winning over the winning line. It's also used in corporate for performance, to improve performance of employees. But it's also very useful for people with all sorts of problems like anxiety, trauma, something that's happened, they've lost a dear one, they haven't dealt with the grief properly, and there is a time that's appropriate to deal with it, not straight away. So it's a fascinating technique. It's much faster than any other technique out there. It's faster than hypnotherapy, it's faster than counselling, it's faster than anything you can think of, because what it does is it uses a muscle test when you're working in person, and you use that as a compass to the body to identify where or what that emotion is, and then we get the client to tune into where it is in their body, and we literally wave at different levels which reprogram, and you can see that thought is then brought from the back in the hippocampus of the brain to the prefrontal cortex. It aligns both sides of the brain, and you can see it when you're waving, the eyes suddenly stop and you think, aha, that thought came in, and you can see it in their faces. It's incredible. I've helped quite a few people now with sleep problems. It could be things from addiction to sleeping tablets. It could be something that somebody said to them when they were a child. I know it all sounds crazy, but it's an amazing technique. And if you want to know more, then please do book a one-to-one with me to find out. So we can work on unconscious blocks that are stopping you sleeping. We can work on environmental things like electromagnetic frequencies. There are things that can support your energy for that. We can also work on your sleep environment, your lifestyle. So there's lots of help out there. I work with families where there are children on the spectrum who don't sleep, so they actually disrupt the sleep of the parent or parents. I've saved marriages because I've managed to get the child sleeping, and then the parents can sleep. They don't have an invader in their bed at night, which is great for relationships, obviously. And I work with business women, essentially, who may have children, they may not have children. They're high powered, they're fueling the day, they're on caffeine going through the day. They may hit the bottle at night making unhealthy choices because they just cannot switch off. So basically, if you want to know more, then please do book a one-to-one. Thank you for the time today. I'm sorry that it was very rushed and very short. Thank you, Facebook, for completely messing things up for us today, but we got round it in the end. Thank you, Steph. Hi. So if you want to know more, you can get me on Elaine's channel, Elaine Godley, Godley, and I'll pop various links below. So thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great day. Any problems with sleep, please get back to me. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.